Good evening. Welcome to Think About It Using Common Sense. I do apologize for being absent a couple of weeks, but as we know, um, in this age of technology, when computers are running good, everything is fine, but when they're not, everything is shut down. But since I've been gone, a lot has been happening. I'm catching up on a few things. And first of all, I want to talk about, just mention a few things. First, I just want to talk about COVID is back, especially in Philadelphia. Um, COVID, see what I think, and we're using common sense now. Think about it using common sense. Now, we all masked up. We kept our safe different distance for a while, and the coronavirus went down. Seems to be going away, less people getting sick. And now, once it went down, everybody said, well, hey, okay, it's ready now. We're ready to unmask. We're ready to get out here and go back to normal. And that happened. And now, from what I'm hearing, the virus is back. You see, what people don't understand, or maybe they do, and they just not willing to conform to what is necessary in order for us to get this virus under control. When when we get a vaccine, from what I understand, is putting the a low dose of the virus within the body, and your body builds up an immunity to it. But the virus never, or should I say, the vaccine, the serum, for whatever they give us to get rid of the virus or to control it, the virus never goes away in the body. So the key is to, I think the key is to build a strong immune system, because what happens is once that virus wears off in your body, and what happens from what I'm being told is then that your body becomes more uh, accessible to catching another virus or virus on top of that virus. So now we need another dose to get rid of that, and another dose to get rid of that. So the key is, we have to stay on top of this thing. And once we get uh, get it somewhat under building a strong body and a strong immune system, this is the only defense from what I'm seeing, from what I'm hearing, to fight these viruses. Because the viruses are here, they've been here. But when your immune system breaks down, that allows these viruses to come in and attack the human body. And another thing that kind of boggles my mind, and that is, now I realize that parents don't want their children to wear masks, okay, in school. I'm not in the position to tell any parent that's their child what you want your child to do. But I'm gonna tell you, if there's a virus out here and my child stands a chance of catching it, guess what? I'm gonna mask him up if I'm putting him out here. If necessary, I will suit him up to keep my child healthy and alive. And it kind of boggles my mind how a lot of these parents say, oh no, no mask, get rid of the mask, don't do this, don't do that. But this virus is real. So, that's something that we need to think about. In order to get this thing under control, we need to do whatever is necessary for as long as is it for as long as it is necessary in order for us to get this virus under control and get it gone. Because to go away for 2 or 3 months, come back. To go away, come back. All that is doing is making the human body nervous system weaker and weaker. And we're getting dosed up with all these different viruses on top of viruses on top of viruses. And the next thing you know, we're going to have to live in a bubble. We're going to become so weak that our body will not be able to fight off anything. And this is what it's coming to unless we take time, pull back, and get ourselves in position to fight this virus war that's upon us. Um, Two, guns, crime. This week I've never heard of so much. I mean, the killing is just it's beyond out of control. Guns, they talk about, well, get rid of the guns. Uh, Guns, I understand if you can't get a gun, you can't shoot a gun. But at the same time, it's the people. There's a problem. There's a mental problem going on. And this mental problem needs to be addressed. And I think just putting police on every corner, this corner and that corner and around the corner, shoot first, ask questions later, it's not happening. It's not solving the problem. And the problem I think that's upon us is a problem, some seeds that has been sown for some time of neglect, of things that we have not been doing. I have never heard of so many different programs out here. So much money is being put out here in these programs. And guess what? I think from what I'm hearing, crime is at an all-time high. We need to sit back and really address this situation that we're having in these neighborhoods, uh, these guns, uh, jobs. I think these people need jobs. They need to replace this people that's out of work, that's not productive. We need to get them in the workforce. We need to get them busy. We need to get something to occupy their minds, have them work, earn some money, put their interest in something other than thinking they can just take a gun and go rob somebody. But when you're a certain age and you haven't been taught or you're uneducated, you don't have a trade, you don't know how to make any money, and the only thing you see or you hear is people picking up guns and going robbing and doing this. Hey, what else? That's the only avenues you have. And another thing with all these, I think with these mass shootings, these people have mental problems. They have mental problems that needs to be addressed. I can't, for the life of me, it's hard for me to understand when all these professors and all these universities and Harvard, Yale, UP, and Drexel, and I mean all these top-notch universities with all these professors, and you gonna tell me they do not have an answer to this problem? They do not know the cause and the reason of what's happening? Something's wrong here. But I think this is something that's, like I said, it's been planted years ago. And this is the fruit from these negative seeds that's been planted, or we haven't been things we have been neglecting, like education, drugs, family separations, one parent raising the children, TV babysitting these kids. Uh, it's important. It's very, very, very important to give these children, when they're coming up, the proper nourishment, education, give them goals, uh, teach them how to the value of money and the value of education, and show them love and what it is to have a family and sit down and have a family dinner and talk things out. These are the things that's the type of nourishment that these children haven't gotten. I mean, it's self manifestation of not doing what is necessary to nurture uh, our young children, and that's what really uh, really bothered me when I watched the Oscars. And these actors, they're in the light. These are the supposedly role models. That's why they get paid so much money when it comes to um, advertisement. Because when these actors, these professional people, ball players or whatever, when they advertise a product, they get paid millions and millions of dollars because just for the fact that they have their stamp of approval on it, people go out and buy the product. And this is why I was so peed off, not only with uh, Will Smith, but at the people in the Oscars. How you gonna let Will Smith? How you, as hard as it is, for people of color to get in the position that they're in? I'm not. We have to also be realistic. We have to think about this thing and be realistic about it. And slavery, racism. I mean, it's been alive and it's still alive. And it's the young people of today are understanding it and realizing, hey, you know what? People are people. All blood's red, and we're working on it. But when you have somebody, a comedian making a joke, and it was a joke. He compared Will Smith's wife. Maybe he didn't know she had a disease, but he compared her bald head to Demi Moore's bald head in G.I. Jane. It's a joke that Will laughed at, and everybody else laughed about it. And before he talked about Will Smith's wife, he made a joke about another actor and his wife. They laughed it off. He's a comedian. That's what he do. That's the reason they hired him to uh, 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 be in charge of the Oscars that night. And Will Smith gets up because he says his wife said she didn't like it or showed an expression that she didn't like it. Will gets up and goes up and hit this man, and then walked back to his seat and yells profanity at him a couple of times. Now the whole world saw that. Now they've been talking about in the last year, from what I understand, Will Smith's wife was saying how there wasn't enough black people at the Oscars. So maybe the reason why there wasn't a lot of black people have been in the Oscars because of maybe what Will Smith did, you see, and the whole world saw that. So now people can say, "Oh, that's why they didn't want black people or people of color at the Oscars." Never before has that happened. I don't think. I mean, I don't watch it that often, but uh, I don't think it has happened before. And that's what was so terrible about what Will Smith did. And he should know better. That whole that whole that whole Oscar scene is acting. Acting. So so that's I just think I don't know. To me, I think it's unforgivable. Uh, what can he do to save his reputation? I don't know. Maybe take a $500 million and go out and develop some neighborhoods in the poor and do something to help poor families, and poor people over in Africa or something. Do something that's worth something, you know. But I think that was a terrible, terrible thing. Um, Justice Thomas. Here we go again. I don't know what it seems like. Now, Justice Thomas, Supreme Court Justice, highest court in the land, lifetime job, and the only information that I'm presenting is what I've heard on the news, and I'm using common sense based on what I've heard. From what I understand, his wife is a Trump supporter. She also was in support of the insurrection, January 6th. Uh, if not in support, she was talking to one of Trump's men, and talking to him as if she did support the insurrection. And I mean, common sense, from what I understand, there was some type of vote by all the justices, and I think Clarence Thomas was the only one that did not uh, vote against Trump and his actions. So, being his wife, you and I both know, using common sense. I mean, how can you do something like that, or be involved in insurrection, and talking with the Proud Boys or these different groups, being involved with them, and the Supreme Court justice, her husband, not know about it, and not uh, 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 excuse himself when something comes up, even from the court period, especially when something come up that he has to vote on pertaining to uh, Donald Trump, or anything the Republicans have to present before the court. So uh, I don't know. To me, it puts a stain on a court that's supposed to be, it has that word in front of it, supreme. So our actions is what put meaning to words. So that word supreme, based on the actions of this Supreme Court justice, that word doesn't have too much weight to it, or is losing some of its weight, and that should not be the case. This whole country and this democracy is really, really, it's on the brink of just totally, if not already, collapsed. Uh, I'm for justice, whether it's Republican justice, Democratic justice. I'm for it. Doesn't matter. But some of these things was outright happening in this government. That's not only going to affect just certain people; it's going to affect everybody. How are you going to have someone that's well, I'm gonna call it like it is, Republicans, because you lose an election, you're going to come out for the first time in history, talk about it was corrupt, it was fake, the president didn't win. and you don't checked it 5 or 6 times, the voting boxes. Now you're trying to even rig the voting rights and machines and have things in your favor so make it easier for you to get a vote. It's not about you getting a vote. It's about you doing your job that you was elected to do. But based on your actions and the actions of these Republicans, they have thrown the American people under the bus, and the only people they are looking out for is themselves. From what I'm seeing. And it's a fear, people living in fear as if people of color is going to take over this, and people of color are going to take over this, and it's going to do this, and you keeping this hate, this uh, uh, distrust among people. Meanwhile, the rich is getting richer, and the poor is getting poorer. The prices is going up. Only thing I'm saying is we need to stop and start thinking about what's going on, what's happening. If no one is really, I mean, there are people addressing global warming, for an example. This is terrible. You can't go back and refreeze the poles. You can't go back and do that. Stop the sea level from rising with all this pollution that's in the seas, that the algae and all this stuff is dying. The fresh water is evaporating or being used up. Wildfires are burning up the forest. We're having these rainy seasons and storms. I mean, this stuff is real. From what I'm hearing people talking, if this planet is if humans can live on this planet by past 1980 to be a miracle based on what they're talking. You better start taking this stuff serious. And one last thing I want to talk about, and that climate control is really, really, really serious as anything that you can even think about. This is our planet. We have nowhere else to live but this planet. We don't need to be fighting amongst ourselves for nothing. We need to be conserving. We need to be uh, looking out for one another, taking care of this planet. But when you have 1% of the people that holds 90% of the wealth, it's problems. It's problems. You're gonna have problems. I went to a funeral today. Dear friend of mine, and it was before I went. Uh, go back a little bit before I talk about that. Um, I want to touch on the the amount of killings that we humans do to one another. Uh, they had this on television a couple of days ago. I've never seen. I mean, this was horrific. Uh, guy was stopped. A man was stopped for not having his registration, and he had no gun. And it ended up an officer being on his back, shot him in the back of the head. I don't know anything that happened. I'm not. All I'm saying, if that just it was terrible. And not only that, when it's terrible, people be killing each other. These young kids, Young kids be killing each other, 15, 16. Uh, I heard on the news the other day, a parent, I mean, a 2-year-old boy killed his brother, I think, or something by accident. But that's an accident amongst kids. But you have grown-ups that's killing and having shootouts with police officers and shootouts with their friends and shootouts and parties. You would think they'd know something about death that no one else knows. The way they're killing themselves and how quickly it is and how easy it is for them to take a life, that you would think they know something, that death is a big party. You know, the dying, you go into a land where you do nothing but party. I mean, I don't understand that. So I write occasionally, and I got to thinking about that, and I wrote something here. It's titled "If People Only Knew Death Is Not the Ending, but the Beginning." Death is not the ending, but the beginning. Now, I'm not talking about, when you talk about people say, oh, when you die, you're going up in the sky. And, and before I even start talking about this, I am a very religious person. I don't criticize people however you want to believe. It's your belief. I'm in no, I'm in no uh, way trying to tell someone how to believe or what you believe in. You have to live and die for yourself. Understand? I'm telling you what I'm saying is based on my experience. This ain't what somebody told me. If somebody just come and tell you something, especially when it comes to something, like religion or anything that pertains to your way of life, how it can determine which way you go in life and what's the outcome of your life is going to be. You need to investigate it. You need to think about it. You need to dissect it because life and death is real. You can talk whatever you want to talk. No one knows what's going to happen until you go there. But I'm going to share some of this. If I'm not telling you to believe what I'm saying, just like it is what it is, but this makes sense to me. And this is the only thing that I can go on in life. It's what makes sense to me because this is my life. And the way I've been living my life up until this point has worked for me. Now, getting back to what I was saying, and that's how these people be just wasting their life away. You know, they just shootouts, getting killed and taking these crazy doing these crazy things. You see somebody on a motorbike running 180 miles an hour. All you have to do is hit a rock and you're dead. Gone. Doing all these crazy things. For what? If people only knew death is not the ending, but the beginning. And today, when I getting back to the funeral, I'm jumping back and forth on this because it all kind of ties in. But the lady that funeral that I went to, the lady was 106 years old, and Last time I saw her wasn't very long. Mine, all her faculties, walk up and down the steps. I mean, she was doing it all. One of the most kindest women, intelligent, always would help anybody, do anything, owned her own business. When I first came to the city, the lady gave me a job working for her. And, you know, and I said to myself when I was looking at her and thinking about all the things and the way she lived her life, and I thought about the topic that I had. I had if people only knew. But then I said to myself, this lady knew. She knew because the way she lived her life, she knew. Because at the end of the day, see, what people don't realize, and I'm going to just touch on what people don't realize is this physical body that we have is what we need, what our consciousness, our life within us need to survive in this physical world that we create, this environment. So beyond that, once this is the physical body, this physical body is what our 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 brain, our thoughts, uh, adaptation of our consciousness created to survive in this physical world. So what I'm trying to say is the consciousness does not die. And that's what this physical world, see, and that's why I said she knew because the way you live your life, the way you live your life, the way you think, it's like a it's like baking a cake. Try and give you an analogy that maybe can help you understand what I'm saying. It's kind of like baking a cake. When you bake a cake, you take all the ingredients and you put all the ingredients in this mixing bowl. Now your mind is this mixing bowl. You're putting all your thoughts, your ideas, everything you've ever did goes into this mental mixing bowl. Where as you bake a cake, you put all the ingredients in that cake. Now, once you put these all the ingredients together in this cake, you turn the oven on to a certain temperature for a period of time. Okay? And when the physical body no longer exists, you put all your ideas and your thoughts. They go into this universal oven of time. So now, based on the time and the temperature in that oven, all your ingredients over time, however long it takes for this cake to bake now, that cake is going to can only be what the ingredients that was put in it. It might be a little deep, but at the same time, you got to look. This is real. This is not a Superman. This is not no Superman, Spider Man, Batman, Iron Man movie that you go sit in the movie theater and you just know it's unreal, but you get into it. No, this is real. This is real. For every action, there's a reaction. Every thought. You can take one ingredient out of that cake, and it's not the same cake anymore. Something different. even though it might look, but it's different because it's not the same as the first one because you took that ingredients out. So the point that I'm making is this is where justice comes in at. Because once this physical body ceases to exist, you have no more control over anything. But that consciousness is still alive, and that consciousness, what happens at that time when the physical body ceases to exist, that consciousness has lost contact with the physical world. So what it is in there trying to figure out, I'm here, but nobody see me. I can't talk to anybody. Nobody sees me. I can't talk to anybody. Yo, I'm yelling, I'm knocking on the door, but nobody sees you because your contact, your means of contact with the physical world, which was the body, is gone. That's why. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important to to learn, to study religion. That's why religion is so important because it teaches you. It teaches you how to use your mind. It teaches you about spirituality. Because this body, this is a physical world, but spirituality exists beyond this. I mean, it really, really exists beyond this. But people today, from what I'm seeing, they don't take life serious. But it's serious, people. Everything you see is serious. People spend their whole life. People spend their whole life and would do anything under the sun to obtain wealth. Get money, get money, get money, get it, get it, get it. Sacrifice your family. Don't, spending time from your family that you should be spending with your family. You out making money, making money. Got more money you ever need, but you're out making more money. But guess what? On your deathbed, you'll give it all up to live another day, to hug your daughter, your grandchildren, spend time with them. You give it all up. So it tells you right there what's really important in your life. And to do that, you still got to have a planet to live on. Common sense. Think about it. This is not a joke. That's something to think about. I'm not going to give you too much on that right away. I give you too much of anything. It's just like a knowledge. It's just like overeating. Your brain can get stuffed, just like your stomach can get stuffed. You know, but I want to stop back, just go back and talk about Ukraine for a moment. Um, think about it using common sense. Ukraine, from what I'm hearing, I don't know anything about it, just from what I'm hearing, using common sense, putting one plus one together, two plus two, one plus two. You know, that is something that should have never taken place. It's too late now, it did, but I'm just using common sense. It should have never taken place. Never. It was a mistake. It was a terrible, terrible mistake. I wish, I feel sorry for those people in the country, the Ukrainian people, but that should have never taken place because what's going to happen now? Putin is not going to pull out of Ukraine. We as Americans, we cannot uh, get involved any more than we already are in helping the Ukrainian people. And in between all that, Ukrainian people are dying, countries being blown apart, people are starving, and the economy is going to affect the economy around the world. But and that's why it's the length of that war is really unknown. And as much as people may be saying, America do this and America, these countries do that, but guess what? This is can be on the brink of a third world nuclear war. Somebody, these people need to stop, if at all possible, use by any means necessary to stop, sit down and talk and work this thing out before another body is killed and another building is destroyed. You're dealing with a superpower. You're dealing with a superpower, and you're dealing with a man that you know is stubborn as a rock. Never, this war should never jump off. You know? It's like a pitcher throwing a ball, and once you don't threw that ball, you can't call it back. Can't call it back. So that's just it's terrible. Really, really is terrible. And inflation, things is going to get a lot worse before they get a lot better. I don't know if they ever get better again, to be honest with you. Um, People are going to have to change. You know? People have to start working together. People have to start taking better care of themselves. People need to start eating less. We don't have to eat. If you have a country where obesity is running rapid, why not, instead of doing all, why not just stop eating so much? Instead of eat, we talking about I hear people talking about a possibility of a 4 day excuse me, 4 day work week, which I think is a great idea. And don't turn that uh 4 day work week into a 40-hour week. Let it be a 32-hour week. And they said that would mean that people would get more rest, people would feel better about their job, they would go to, they just be energetic, and it would totally make sense. So the same thing about food. You don't need to eat all this food. You don't need to be eating three full meals a day and snacks at night. Not only are you overspending, but you're killing yourself. You're obese. Stop it. But what happens, I realize it's difficult because what has happened is you have become a food junkie. Your taste buds have taken over. They control your life, just like the same as dope. No different. A junkie is a junkie. Whether you're a dope junkie or ice cream junkie or food junkie, period. You have to take back control of your body and mind. And this is the problem. Discipline. A lack of discipline is the problem. And I don't care how hard it is, you have got to do it. You can go do all take all the vitamin stuff and walk and do this. But if you don't maintain some discipline in your eating habits, hey, the answer is not, oh, okay, this not gonna have as much fat in it or this, so but I'm still gonna eat 5 times a day, but I'm gonna just eat food with less of no, no. Cut back. You don't have to. You don't have to. Uh, I fast during the day, certain times, all day long. First time, it takes a little while to get over it, get used to it. But once you cross that line, it's a piece of cake. Just like breakfast in the morning. You get up in the morning, the first thing you want to eat some breakfast. But once you get over that initial hunger for breakfast, after that, you don't even think about food anymore. Really don't. But see, most people can't get can't get over that initial, oh man, and then don't stop and think about don't think about no, you know, scrambled eggs and cheese, home fries with onions, turkey bacon, toast, jelly, pancakes, French toast, cup of coffee. Oh my goodness, orange juice. Oh my goodness. Now you're in trouble. You ruined for the whole day. You eat you eat that for breakfast. You be eating lunch. You'll be eating a snack in between dinner, and another snack before you go to bed. And that's the psychology in it. You eat in the morning, you be eating all day long. Once you get past that breakfast, food is not even a problem. So anyway, so instead of saying inflation, talk about the price of things, inflation, cut back. You cut back and you still can live. It's not like you're killing yourself. Cut back. You'll be amazed. Not only would you save money, but you'll find you'll be a lot healthier and you'll live a lot longer. And start focusing on developing that mind and taking back control of it. Go work on discipline, understanding your body, understanding how it works. Understand that sometimes you can have indigestion and think you have a heart attack, something like that. You know? And then one other thing too, sometimes we have to give our bodies a chance. We have a nervous system. We have an immune system, which it's a defense mechanism that we have that protect us against things that's coming into our body. We have alarm system that lets you know when something is wrong. Every mineral that's in the earth is in the human body. So we're already inoculated with everything that's out here. We have to give our body a chance to do something. Give it a chance. You'll be amazed. I'm telling you, I never. I mean, I'm doctors. Hey, look, we need them. I'm not talking about them doctors. We need them. But I mean, sex minor stuff. Oh, you have to run to the doctor every time you eat something. Popping these pills, you don't know what's in them. That's why I can understand why a lot of people said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not taking the shot." You know. Then the people that's not taking the shot, then I think those people should be the ones that should be congregated together. You see, it's okay not to take the shot now, but if you don't, if you say, "Okay, I'm not going to take the shot." But here's a guy over here that has a store. He said, "Well, look, you got to have a mask to come in here." You can't get angry at him. Just if you want to go in there, you put a mask on. If you don't, then you find somewhere where you can go that you don't have to have a mask. You see, and it's simple. It's not even a thing about arguing. It's about this person over here. He just feels as though he's a lot better protected with the mask, and you may not even need it. Your immune system may be strong because what's happening is by you not taking the shot, your body will develop a stronger immune system to fight off the virus, providing you know you're not at that low point. You haven't passed that. You know, you're not below that line, that lifeline in you, so to speak. And having a strong mind to to believe in you, believe in yourself, and that strong mind comes from that godly strength. That's where you get it from. See, God is that point. It's that point that we focus on to get our strength. He gives us that strength. Our strength comes from that godly consciousness. And with the amount of energy that uh, that the human body is capable of having, the number of atoms that the human body is composed of, anything is possible. Nobody can tell you what you can and cannot do or achieve. Nobody. That's why when miracles happen, people say, "Oh, it's a miracle." They don't know. You just unconsciously have tapped into a source of energy within you that you didn't even know you had, and it happened. So the only way you can label that as a miracle, not saying that, hey, you know what, hey, I touched on that, instead of trying to investigate and see where that comes from to do that, you just write it off, oh, that was a miracle, forget about it. No, that was more than that. But you only saw it as that and you left it as that. So that was all you got. That's how it works. It's just that simple. But anyway, uh, it's good to be back. I'm back now. My computer's fixed. I want to thank everyone that tuned in. Um, I enjoyed being back. It's feeling good. I want to finish that topic because I mean I talk about, see, death is something that we don't like to talk about, but it only comes to those who believe in it. But you have to think about what about think about life. And when you think about life, even though your birthday may be a certain day, when you sit back and think about it, you can't say, "Well, oh, I remember starting living on that day." No, you can't. As far as you know, you've been living ever since the beginning of time. And we have to change our way of thinking, you know, because everything comes from a thought, manifestation of a thought. It was first thought of, then you made it. We need to focus more on the inside of ourselves and less on the outside, and spread the wealth. Spread the wealth. That's love. Not only is it love, but it's meaningful, and it puts purpose in life, gives you life. Yes, yes. So on that note, again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's good to be back, and hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow at 6. Thank you, and have a good night.